On Home Factory, we stretch ourselves to the limit.
Then we thrill to the frills on a grill.
And discover a tempest in a teacup.
But first, we seal our fate for good.
Okay, so did you know that there's a Tupperware party going on somewhere in the world every 1.4 seconds?
That is a weird fact to just have at your fingertips.
Yeah.
But before we tackle that one, we're headed to Tupperware's 1 million square foot facility in Hemingway, South Carolina.
That's right, and here's Keith Haggerty, Vice President of Operations. And he's going to tell us what makes Tupperware's That's a Bowl such an essential piece of kitchen equipment.
We wanted to have a large container, but the unique feature was the thumb hole. So you could easily place your thumb and grab the bowl with your one hand, so that makes it easier for mixing.
Perfect for making cookies.
I don't make cookies, man. I don't like desserts.
Oh, man. Wishful thinking, I guess.
Tupperware is used so everywhere in the home, from the kitchen to the garage to the laundry room. Our products are designed for freshness of foods. You can store dry goods in them. Anything that you want to store, you can store in Tupperware, because it always has a seal that's designed to keep freshness in. So it's a great product.
All right, well, let's see how they put the Tupper in the ware.
Let's get this party started.
That's a Bowl begins its life as polypropylene pellets.
The plastic is brought by railcar, where it's blown into one of 13 different silos.
These silos are capable of holding approximately 110,000 kilograms.
The pellets are then put through a special test where they're combed over for contaminants and uniformity.
Here's Ray, Tupperware's Quality Assurance Manager, to tell us what he does. And might I add, I love a man in a lab coat.
Well, really, who doesn't?
Tests are being done before it gets into the molding room and it gets into your household.
The pellets must pass a test to see if the material is retaining any odors. Ray puts a cracker in a glass jar full of pellets and covers it with tin foil.
Then Ray puts the jar into a 60-degree Celsius oven for 3 hours. Then it's time for the taste test.
When's it gonna happen?
The suspense is killing me. Well?
So no unusual taste on the cracker.
Wow, that was tense.
Yeah.
Because we're manufacturing storage products, it's very important that the material is food grade.
With all the raw materials approved, it's now time to make a That's a Bowl.
And here's the man who puts the blue in the bowl.
My name is Mike Phillips. I'm a
Come on, Mike.
powder prep technician here at Tupperware Plant USA.
You did it! You remembered your job title.
Sure did. Now we're gonna add a little splash of color.
The plastic pellets are now mixed with color pigment to create a master batch in a blending machine.
The pellets are siphoned into injection molding machines at a rate of 45 kilograms per hour.
And once the pellets are received in the machine, they're melted down and injected under high pressure into a closed mold.
It can take up to a minute before the bowls come out cooled.
Now that's a bowl.
In a typical day, over 13,000 kilograms of plastic will be used in Tupperware, which translates to over 3 million kilograms a year.
And as everyone knows, a Tupperware bowl is only as good as its seal.
That's right. And the seals are made at a separate facility and brought to Anna.
My job is to open the Tupperware.
And how exactly does this famous seal work?
You have to apply it all the way around. Make sure you apply it all the way around. When you get to the end, you burp it, and it seals. Excuse you.
Sorry about that.
Well, you should be. Then the bowls head off to Helen, and it's safe to say that Helen loves her job.
I just love Tupperware. No joke.
Well, we're not laughing, because Keith told us how prestigious Tupperware really is.
According to the Guinness Book of World Records, Tupperware is recognized as one of the 10 greatest inventions of the 20th century.
And that's why these popular containers are packaged up and shipped out to homes all over the world.
Where they keep our fruit fresh, our popcorn poppy, and our leftovers lovely.
And that kind of sort of fell apart a little at the end there.
Hey, wordplay is hard work.
Yeah, tell me about it. Aw.
Well, this is embarrassing, but I've forgotten what product is next.
Okay, here's a reminder.
Ow! Fine, got it. Rubber bands. Ow!
And that's why we're stretching out and bouncing off to Alliance Rubber Company's 149,000 square foot facility in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And this is Jason Reisner, Strategic Marketing Manager for Alliance Rubber.
We have one golden rule here at Alliance, and that is that thou shalt not shoot rubber bands.
Yeah. We're breaking that rule.
I'm thinking.
With a vengeance.
But first, we've got to get some of these suckers made. Your friendly household rubber band starts with a block of purified latex rubber.
Rubber was used by native South Americans to waterproof shoes and bottles. Christopher Columbus brought it back to Europe.
So you could, in essence, blame Christopher Columbus for all those spare rubber bands in your drawer.
Well, yeah, what don't I blame Christopher Columbus for?
Blocks of purified rubber come from Southeast Asia, where the hot, damp weather is perfect for growing rubber trees. Alliance uses over 3,500 tons of rubber every year.
Each of these blocks weighs about 35 kilograms. This is David.
My name's David, but people call me Stretch.
David cuts and weighs the blocks of rubber and puts it on this very quiet conveyor belt.
Very quiet. Then, David adds red pigment and peptizer. A peptizer disperses a substance into colloidal form.
Okay, I understood like 2 of those words.
Well, in chemistry, to peptize means...
All right, stop right there. It's a magic ingredient that makes rubber bands work.
Fine. The rubber, pigment, and magic powder head into a large mixer.
The mixer heats and mixes the ingredients into a consistency sort of like dough. Right, Reed?
Like making a big rubber pie.
And when it's reached 125 degrees, the remaining ingredients, like sulfur, are added.
Why sulfur?
Well, sulfur helps vulcanize the rubber.
Translation, please?
And it's a process whereby there's a chemical reaction in the rubber bands that causes it to retain its shape.
Ooh, science.
Science.
Then the mixture is extruded into milling, which looks, well, I'll let you see for yourself.
Ugh, gross.
That ball weighs 230 kilograms.
The rubber ball is squeezed and pressed by this giant cylinder. The rolling cools and smooths the rubber dough out into sheets.
This is Robert. He loves rubber band jokes.
My favorite part of the day is at the end when I get to bounce.
Good one.
That's funny.
But first, he's got to make this giant mass of red dough into something a bit more manageable. 3 strips of rubber are pulled away, feeding onto this conveyor.
The conveyor belt deposits the strips onto these drying racks, where giant fans cool and dry them.
Next, the strips are fed into these bins, so they can be taken to the extruder.
Yay! This machine takes the strips in and then heats them to 250 degrees Celsius and pushes the rubber out the other end, this time in tube form.
This looks a little...
Like what? What does it look like?
Well, never mind.
All right. Next, the tube goes through a shower of yellow chemicals, which makes the rubber less sticky and sets it in its tube shape so it'll always bounce back.
Then, the rubber is rinsed to clean it and output into buckets of water for a final rinse and cooling.
The buckets are wheeled off to the cutting department. The tubes are fed into the cutter, which goes crazy fast.
The cutters that we use to cut the tube into individual bands is actually going at a speed at thousands of bands per minute.
Random samples of each batch of bands are taken for testing.
We determine the stretchiness of a band by a process we call ultimate elongation, which determines how far a band will stretch before it breaks.
And it's nerve-wracking.
Oh, I don't like this. It's gonna snap like any second. Oh, it can't go any further. Oh! There it goes.
Let's watch it again!
No, my nerves can't take it. We're going back to the cutting machine now. Thank you. The cut bands travel up a conveyor belt, which takes them to a gravity-fed packaging machine, dropping them into half-kilogram bags.
The bags are then conveyed over to this friendly crew.
We're the lines we band together.
These ladies box the bags. Look at them go.
Some days we put out thousands of boxes of rubber bands.
The box bags of bands are packaged, palletized, and shipped off to fulfill all the household needs a person can think of.
Rubber bands as a chip clip for your bag.
Keeping your school books together.
Rubber bands on the end of your coat hanger to help items from falling off.
Organizing your kale.
Rubber bands on your cabinet doors to keep the kids from getting into the cabinets.
Opening jars.
Rubber bands around your cords and hoses to keep them bundled up together.
Bouncing in ball form.
Rubber band to wrap around your socks so that when you wash them and dry them, they come out and they're still mated together.
Okay, I think I'm out of ideas here.
Rubber bands on the sprayer in your sink to pull a practical joke on somebody. When they turn the faucet on, it automatically sprays them with water.
Mind blown. Never even thought of that. Excuse me for a minute.
Oh, brother.
I've got a license. A license to grill.
I'm feeling shaken, not stirred.
That's because you're not familiar with the Prestige Pro 665 RSI BPSS grill, also known as the secret weapon of barbecuers.
Yeah, like, no one calls it that.
Well, to prove me wrong, we're going to Napoleon's 250,000 square foot facility in Barrie, Ontario.
That's right. And here is Bob Martin, Napoleon's resident grill master.
I don't think I'd be considered a grill master.
All right then, manufacturing manager.
Which means Bob's in charge of the manufacturing of these bad boys. And it all starts with sheets of stainless steel.
Every year we use about 12 million tons of steel.
Each sheet is taken by these giant robot arms and fed into this computer-controlled machine, which punches out holes according to a programmed design.
The machine uses 20 tons of force to cut through the metal.
For pieces requiring finer cuts, the metal sheets are cut by lasers. Pew, pew. Choo, choo.
The word laser is actually an acronym, which stands for Light Amplified by Stimulated Emission of Radiation.
Great. Now you all have something to talk about at your next dinner party.
Yay. But lasers are still cool, right, Ryan?
It is the coolest and the fastest machine that we have on the floor.
Just like 007 himself.
Right now we're making a drip tray for one of the barbecues.
Yeah, that's the part that catches all the grease when it's cooked off. But we haven't seen what does the cooking. So over to Cameron, who's going to tell us about the business end of the barbecue.
Personally, I think it's the most important part of the barbecue is because it's basically where all the burners and the grill and where all your food will be sitting.
And how long does it take to assemble, Cam?
I would say about 15 minutes or so. Yeah.
You know, we don't have that kind of time. How about 15 seconds?
Whoa, smoking!
Yeah, I'm pretty hot stuff around here, I'll admit it.
And meanwhile, the brains of the barbecue are being assembled over here by Anne.
It's like the window dressing because it's the shiny parts and all the finishing parts for the barbecue.
Anne assembles all the tiny parts that will let grill master wannabes control their barbecues. And it also comes with fun blue lights.
All the bling around the knobs, it's great to look at.
Anne attaches the knobs to the front. Well done, Anne.
These barbecues are definitely well done.
So now that the business end of the barbecue has been put together and the control panel assembled, it's time for them to go to Pauline. What do you do, Pauline?
I am a tester. I test the unit to make sure there's no leaks and that everything works right.
But first, she's got to put them all together.
You tell me when.
Okay, go for it. Pauline attaches the gas lines, and then control panel. And then she hooks the whole thing up to a gas tank for testing purposes. Now it's time for flames.
Nothing's happening. Maybe you're out of gas?
Oh, I got lots of gas.
Maybe if you sing to it.
No, sir. Ain't no singing.
How about a flame-themed jig?
Okay, let's just try it again, shall we?
Ah, very nice. And now that the base is working, it's time to fit it out with a grill and lid. Then this helpful crane lowers the whole thing onto the body of the barbecue, where it's attached and then wired.
Ah, it's looking good, Bob, but isn't something missing? Doesn't it come with sidecars?
Didn't know it had a sidecar.
Well, it does, and looks like they're a little tricky to attach.
Cody? Maybe it's time to call for backup there, buddy? Huh? Ah, thanks, Mike.
The sidecars are tricked out with an extra burner on one side and a cooler on the other.
Good work, gentlemen.
For the dream team, all right. Yeah, that's what we're labeled as here.
And this is labeled as the Prestige Pro 665 RSI BPSS grill, also known as the ultimate cooking secret weapon.
With the size of this grill, you can have 30 of your closest friends over and make a hamburger for all of them.
And that's why it's the barbecue of choice for grill masters, ordinary home cooks, and secret agents.
The Prestige Pro 665 RSI BPSS grill will return in your backyard.
Good. Saving the world is hungry work. Oh, Muffy, there's nothing quite as calming as a warm tea. But what would tea be without a cup and saucer?
Third-degree burns? And that's why we're heading to Lennox China's 218,000 square foot factory in Kinston, North Carolina, to see how their iconic Westmore cup and saucer is made.
This silver fox is Paul Lightnum, Vice President of Manufacturing at Lennox.
People collect our cups and saucers all over the world.
So tell us why Lennox cups and saucers are so great, Paul.
It's highly durable, dishwasher safe. You can literally use it every day if you like.
Now you know, people.
The fancy cup and saucer begins its life as mere humble raw materials, which include
China clay, ball clay, silica, mince bar, and the most important ingredient, bone ash.
Bone ash? What's that?
I'm assuming it's animal bone.
But what kind of bone?
I'm not sure.
Paul?
What it actually is ground up cattle bone, and you blend that with several different clays. It's the bone, the calcium, that gives the china its beautiful warm color.
Wow, it really is bone. The clay mixture is blended for 2.5 hours until smooth, and then extruded as a log.
Which the industry calls the pug. Each log weighs 18 kilograms.
To make the saucers, a worker loads the pugs onto this machine. A blade cuts the clay into round slices.
Suction cups place the slices onto molds. And then a machine contours the saucers.
The saucers make their way to the first of a series of kilns. This one runs at 1,200 degrees Celsius for 9 hours. After the kiln, the saucers are buffed and sent down the line.
The teacups are formed in a very similar fashion to the saucer. They're cut from the pug log and then moved into molds. But unlike the saucers, they get a visit from this machine called the jigger, which shapes the body of the cup while spinning at 420 revolutions per minute. The jigger can shape up to 400 teacups every hour.
And then the teacups make their way to the profiler machine, which is run by Letitia. And what do you do here, Letitia?
I put the curve on these guys.
And then it's over to Tasha, and her job is to...
Get a handle on it.
Indeed.
I applied the handle to the cup, and I sent it down the line to these ladies.
You mean these ladies, who were very excited to pretend to have a tea party for us without any tea?
This is the worst thing I
Pinkies up, ladies. The china is then sprayed with a fine layer of glaze and sent into a kiln for 8.5 hours at a balmy 1,000 degrees Celsius. This fuses the glaze, forming a smooth, glassy surface.
Once the cups and saucers are dry, it's time for the workers to decorate the cups and put the famous Lenox patterns on.
This is Margaret, and she's a hand liner here at Lenox.
We decorate the china, different patterns with materials like gold and platinum.
Oh, very fancy.
Nothing but the best for me.
After decorating, they're ready for a final bake.
Each finished piece of china is then thoroughly inspected. Any scuffs or abrasions, and the piece will be discarded. The cups and saucers are then barcoded, bagged, and sent to the warehouse for shipping.
Lenox has something to offer everyone, from the old traditional to the modern hip-hop ready-to-go style.
Oh yeah, you hear that, Kanye? Get your order in now, because these teacups and saucers are flying out of the factory and into homes across the country. Yeah!
Hey DJ, play us out.